And after the halving, shouldn't it be 140,000 immediately if it's worth 72 now?
Bitcoin continues to get bought up like crazy as Michael Saylor gives his Bitcoin halving prediction.
As for your second question, the halving.
Donald Trump speaks favorably on Bitcoin.
Well, it's taken its own life. I do little things sometimes for fun and, make money with it.
As Ethereum's next major upgrade to launch in 2 days.
So the amount of data that goes on chain goes down by maybe about a factor of 10.
This is everything you need to know about crypto.
Do you have any thoughts now on crypto?
Well, it's taken its own life. I do little things sometimes for fun and, make money with it, but I have fun with it too.
You mean
NFTs,
you bought Bitcoin?
No, but I sometimes will let people pay through Bitcoin, or will let people get involved in a new. If you think of it, it's an additional form of currency. And I used to say, I want one currency. I want the dollar. I don't want people leaving the dollar. And I feel that way. But I will tell you, it has taken on a life.
Now Trump is about to get a little off track here, but he does relate this back to Bitcoin.
I did a thing that people smile at, but it was wild. We did 1,000 sneakers, so limited edition sneaker run. The last one, and you could go through, our crazy new currencies, because that's what I call them. They're crazy, whether it's Bitcoin or others. People were going crazy for these sneakers. You probably were too. Everybody was. I have every friend I have has called me for a pair of sneakers. So it just took off, and I noticed that so many of them were paid for with this, with the new currency, and it is that it's a new cryptocurrency, and I couldn't believe the amount. And I'm saying, this thing has really, and other things I do, people are using it.
And in the culmination of this clip, Trump suggests he would not crack down on Bitcoin or other cryptos.
I'm very much a traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. You know that from when I was there. It's make the dollar the choice. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar. And but I have seen there has been a lot of use of that. And I'm not sure that I'd want to take it away at this point.
And the buying in the Bitcoin ETFs is still happening. The first 2 months officially in the books felt like 6. And the 10 Bitcoin ETFs now have over $55 billion in assets, with exactly double that in volume at $110 billion. If these were the numbers at the end of the year, I'd call them a success. To do this in 8 weeks is simply absurd. Bitcoin's market cap has also officially surpassed silver. We are climbing the charts, now just under Amazon and Alphabet, with gold an 11x away.
Bitcoin is certainly at least digital gold. It's going to eat gold. It's got all of the great attributes of gold, and it's got none of the defects of gold. If you could teleport gold from New York to Tokyo in a few minutes, people would like it.
Bitcoin is going to eat gold, says MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor. In fact, just today, MicroStrategy announced they've acquired an additional 12,000 more Bitcoin. Michael explains why.
You can trade it 1 million times faster than conventional assets using a computer. It's available. Most other assets only trade less than 20% of the time. Bitcoin's trading 168 hours a week. We bought $800 million of Bitcoin, and a lot of it we bought over the weekend when all the conventional markets are closed. It's global. It's the most widely recognized and trusted investment asset in the world right now. It's ethical because it's the king of all commodities. There's no issuer. There's no company. There's no country controlling it. And fundamentally, it's useful. Thousands of market makers can trade it all the time. Millions of companies can trade it, billions of people.
And the Bitcoin halving, just about a month away.
The selling in the market for the past month has been primarily bankruptcy estates that are liquidating GBTC at FTX or Genesis or the like. Once they got done rebalancing, the natural sellers are the miners. The miners can only sell 900 Bitcoin a day right now. They're only going to be able to sell 450 Bitcoin a day coming the end of April. As long as there's more demand in the market than the 450 Bitcoin a day, there isn't any catalyst to drive this asset down. It has no cash flows. The critics think that's a defect. It's a feature. With no cash flows, no quarterly results, no product cycles, this is the longest lived asset in the financial ecosystem with the least uncertainty. We're buying it to hold it 100 years. So that being the case, that $66,000 to $16,000 crash, that shook out the tourists, that shook out the non-believers. When it was 16,000, we were all ready to write it to zero. And that's what you'll find with the Bitcoin maximalists. So now we're riding it the other direction.
And even with the European Central Bank trying to convince you that Bitcoin failed, Bitcoin has failed to become a global decentralized digital currency.
It doesn't have to be a currency. Nobody's trying to buy a cup of coffee with a fraction of their building on Fifth Avenue, right? But every rich person I know owns property in London or New York City or somewhere, and none of them complain about not being able to spend their building as a medium of exchange. So the killer application is capital preservation for everybody. The store of value is the killer use case. Medium of exchange is a distraction. Governments are always going to issue currency. They're always going to make it legal tender, and that's just fine. Bitcoin's competing with gold. It's going to eat it.
And in less than 2 days, Ethereum's Dankin upgrade will launch. This is the most anticipated upgrade since the merge. And ETH's Dankin upgrade could be a milestone for Layer 2 scaling solutions, as it is expected to significantly reduce the transaction fees of Layer 2 networks on ETH and enhance Ethereum's overall scalability.
Instead of publishing all these transactions, you publish this like tiny compressed blob, right? So the amount of data that goes on chain goes down by maybe about a factor of 10, right? And then the second thing is that you don't do the computation on chain. Instead, you do the computation off chain.
The fee reduction promised for L2 users won't directly affect users transacting on the mainnet, although it'll pull people to the sidechains, which is good. But in the short term, users who wish to benefit from this fee change must sacrifice some decentralization and security by transacting on L2s instead of ETH. Actually, speaking of security, I just interviewed the CEO of Hacken, one of the major auditors in the space, and I asked him, as a security expert, what is the most secure blockchain on the market today?
Well, for sure it's Bitcoin, then Ethereum. I mean, it's battle tested, so.
Yes, obviously Bitcoin and ETH, but what else?
I mean, there are some really good blockchains that have potentially more scalable and more secure.
Watch the full interview linked below. Also, big news for Injective, $500 million. Injective has surpassed 500 million on-chain transactions. They're also now compatible with Celestia, as well as Cosmos, as well as Solana. And this is all through their new Injective EBM Layer 2 on mainnet. Also just announced by Easy, which is a project I'm invested in. Easy is going to Blast. We are thrilled to announce that our mainnet will be launched on Blast, the L2 network. Blast is an L2 with native yield, which is why people are so hyped about it. But the news today is this. As the most fast-scaling Ethereum L2, Blast provides us with an opportunity to collaborate with a true innovative community and onboard more Web3 users. And speaking of Ethereum, this is bad news. I'll always give you guys both the good news and the bad news so you can make the best decision for you. From Bloomberg's senior ETF analyst, he says, yeah, our odds of an ETH ETF approval by May deadline are down to 35%. I get all the reasons they should approve it, and we personally believe they should, but all the signs/sources that were making us bullish 2.5 months out for BTC spot are not there this time. Note, 35% isn't zero, still possible, and long-term we think it will happen.
Ethereum ETF approval, the spot Ethereum ETF, 100% will happen. Now, why will it happen? The same reason the Bitcoin one had to get approved. The grayscale verdict, if there's futures products, there's got to be spot products. The fact that there's Ethereum and Bitcoin ETFs, spot ETFs in Canada, in Europe already. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, will it get delayed? That's very possible.
Actually, we just did an awesome interview with Cointelegraph where we address this, all this and more. I'll link this down below. But this is an ongoing story, so click subscribe. You do not want to miss a daily video keeping you informed about crypto.